Okay.
Okay, awesome. How do I mute everybody for now?
We're
I'll take care of
already
that.
muted.
You'll do that? Okay,
Yeah.
perfect. Let me share my screen. Okay, thanks everyone for joining me today. So my name is Akshaya, and as Linda said, I am a yoga therapist, and more recently, over the last 5 years or so, I started teaching cooking classes at the Sustainable Food Center in Austin. So if any of y'all are in Austin, you might be familiar with the work they do. They do a lot of work to help promote local farms, local foods, and they help underserved communities have access to food as well at their farmers markets. So they set up a few farmers markets around town. Outside of that, most recently, I was teaching yoga and yoga therapy at the Baylor Scott and White Hospital in Round Rock. And yoga therapy, so we're going to talk about the healing power of yoga today. So what that is, give me a second here. I can't turn my page. There we go. So this is just a little background on what I do, what my training is. If you look at most yoga teachers at studios, the very basic training is a 200-hour training. And from there, you have many, many options as to where you want to specialize in, like either prenatal yoga, yoga for trauma, yoga for, there's even yoga that specializes in teaching people who are incarcerated. So there's many types of yoga out there. And what I do is I specialize in yoga therapy, and the type of yoga that I teach is more commonly known as Vini yoga. That I realize is a term that's not commonly used, but if you were to look it up, it's a smaller area of yoga where we really focus on gentle movements. We integrate a ton of breath work, and meditation is always present in all of our classes. This is different from the highly westernized forms of yoga, the popularized forms of yoga that you see in yoga studios, where oftentimes breathing and meditation are left out. So yoga therapy works with the breath and works with the mind to really give you an experience on a mind, body, breath level. And it's not restricted to just contorting yourself into the most pretzel form that you can get yourself into, right? Yoga is really not about the form that you make, but it's about the experience you're having when you're in your practice. So what is yoga? And my definitions are going to come from a very classical form of yoga, again, in the Vinyasa tradition. Yoga is the conscious linking of the mind to an object and maintaining our attention on that object for an extended period of time. Real life example, when you are practicing, say, a physical set of sequences, your mind is really focused on what your body is doing for that extended period of maybe an hour of practice. And what you're doing by having these movements and your mind focusing on what's next, how am I breathing, coordinated with the breath, how am I breathing in every pose, you're really training your mind to develop a greater sense of focus and concentration. So the practice of yoga helps you develop skill in sustained attention. So it improves your ability to focus, not just while you're practicing, but you can then take that sustained attention into other areas of your life, like photography, right? It requires a lot of quick thinking, a lot of focus, and a lot of what do I need in this moment now? So having some level of sustained attention is going to allow you to make those quick decisions. How can yoga help me? So yoga allows you to see yourself and identify problematic patterns of behavior. As your practice continues, yoga helps you replace previous patterns with more positive patterns of behavior. So a real life example would be, say you get in the car and you're driving and you're on the highway and you're in the fast lane, and the speed limit here in Texas is 70 miles an hour, which I love. And the person in front of you, like so many people in Round Rock and Austin, is probably doing like 10 below the speed limit. And you're like, honk, honk, honk. And you might get yourself into a sticky situation, right? Like, I don't know anyone like this. I'm not at all pulling from personal experience. But when that might be a pattern of behavior that gets you into trouble, you might have someone react to you very aggressively. You might drive in a way just to make your point and get ahead of the slow person. You might end up putting yourself or the person next to you, behind you, in some amount of danger, right? Like this aggressive driving. So this particular pattern of behavior, even if it doesn't result in, say, an injury or an accident, maybe it causes you a great amount of anxiety or stress while you're driving. And again, this pattern is not helpful to you long term because that anxiety builds over time. So the next time someone is, driving really slow in front of you, you might choose to take a few deep breaths and respond from a place of calm versus responding from a place of anger, So yoga helps you identify what patterns that you already have are maybe problematic for you in your life. And then it allows you to, and then you can go on and choose more patterns that serve you more positively in your life. So as your patterns shift to a more positive pattern, so does your perspective. Like the world doesn't look like an empty cup. Maybe the world looks like your cup is half full as opposed to half empty. You're no longer a victim to your thoughts. Like your mind and your thoughts don't control you. You're able to kind of, supersede these functions of your mind, and you can make decisions from a place of clarity, from a place of intuition and knowing, as opposed to just reactive. You're being responsive and careful and thoughtful in the way that you respond. So how can yoga help me again? Yoga also helps to regulate your whole system, mind, body, emotions. There's a lot of material out there. If you were just to Google, how is yoga helpful for back pain or heart health or anything like that, if you were just to search, you'd find some studies, you'd find some articles, you find a lot of backing. And time again, we've seen how yoga has had a positive impact on health. Some of the more popular ways that yoga is used, especially when I was in the hospital, there was a lot of pain management. There was a lot of yoga for healthier backs. So a lot of back care yoga out there. Yoga to help reduce stress, improve sleep, and to help manage depression, anxiety. A really nice example that I like to share is I had someone who was taking a yoga for low back pain class with me. It was, an ongoing class for about 6 months or so. And at the end of the 6 months, she was like, yeah, my back is feeling okay, but I have to tell you that it has helped me so much with my anxiety that I'm not taking my anxiety medication anymore. So you might go in for one thing, but you might see a benefit in your whole system, not just on a physical level, but you might see benefits on a mental, emotional level as well. And that's not it. Yoga helps you breathe better. If you look at some studies, if you Google again some studies, it's really well known that we do not breathe to our full capacities. We only use about this much, and usually the top part of our lungs. And a lot of us have very short, fast breathing. And what that does is short, fast breaths tend to promote anxiety. So yoga teaches you how to use the full capacity of your lungs, and it helps to slow down your breathing so that, again, this short breath isn't taking over your mind and your emotions, and you're coming from a place of calm. And from that place, you gain clarity. Yoga also helps to improve your relationships, starting with your relationship with yourself. So again, if we are able to better our relationships with ourselves first, you'll see this ripple effect, our relationships with family and friends and other drivers on the road, and everyone just improves. Or even if you might change your perspective from, oh, I need to change the way my mother-in-law treats me, to, hey, this is who she is. I'm just going to set my boundaries around how much I allow her to get to me. Things like that. So it really helps you change your perspective, and it helps you control yourself, because you're the only person that you are in control of, nobody else out there. So to end, this little presentation, all I have to say is do your yoga. If you're looking for more information about yoga, I'm happy to talk to you about it. Here's my information if you want to take a screenshot or whatever. And I have to say that all the photography in my presentation today was from Linda. She's been really amazing in allowing me to use her photography on my Instagram. And I use her photography as background to these awesome quotes that I find around. A lot of people are doing that, but I'm like, how can I bring someone I know into what I do, as opposed to just have some standard stock photos? So I'm really grateful to you, Linda, for allowing me to always use your photography and make things extra beautiful on my feed.
Thank you.
So before we move on, I'm just going to stop sharing real quick. Any questions? So what we're going to do, I'd like to do next is, for the next 10 minutes, I'd like to lead you through a little meditation exercise. Sorry, could we mute? There we go.
Yeah.
Mute.
Let's mute everybody.
Yeah. There we go. So I'd like to lead everyone through a short meditation, and what you can do to set up is sit in a comfortable position. If you're in a chair, just have your feet on the ground, have your spine upright. Your hands can just rest on your thighs, and if it feels comfortable for you, close your eyes. And if you would like to turn off your video for this, like if you feel like someone is watching you, feel free to turn off your video as well. Okay. So close the eyes. And start to just feel where you are in your space. Just notice how you're sitting in your chair. Notice how your feet feel against the ground. And see if there might be a way that you can make yourself a little more comfortable in your space. You can move around, whatever you need to do to have your back comfortable, supported, upright ideally. And now just very slowly bring your attention to your breath without trying to control it in any way. Just notice, without any judgment, how your breath moves in and out. taking a few moments, noticing your breath as it moves in and out. Placing your attention on where the air enters the nostrils, how the air moves down the torso, and how far down it moves. And again, how the breath moves back up and out of the nostrils. So just with your mind, following your breath with your mind's eye. And then I'm going to ask you to slowly lengthen both your inhale and your exhale. Just a tiny bit. We're not going full force. Taking a slightly longer inhale and a slightly longer exhale. And with each breath, lengthening both the inhale and exhale just a little bit more each time. What we're doing here is we're trying to find our comfortable maximum. So when you reach this place where your breath feels deep and full, and where you don't feel like you have to force it in any deeper, because we don't want you to force your breath or have any kind of pressure as you control your breath. So finding your comfortable maximum as you inhale and exhale, and staying at your comfortable maximum for the next 3 to 4 breaths. Continue to follow your breath as it moves down the body, noticing how far down it goes, noticing how much your lungs fill up on the inhale. And as you exhale, let the breath leave the body smoothly. Keeping your mind connected to this path that your breath takes. Maybe noticing some space that you haven't noticed before within you. If your mind begins to wander, that's okay. See if you can rein it back to focus on what your breath is doing. Keep your mind connected to your breath and continue breathing at this comfortable maximum. If at any time your breath should feel strained or uncomfortable, feel free to shorten it. And then on your next inhale and exhale, I'd like you to shorten your breath just a tiny bit from your comfortable maximum. So the same way how we just very slowly extended, now we're slowly decreasing the length of the inhale and exhale. So with each breath, decreasing the length of your inhale and exhale. until you come back to your natural breathing pattern. And then staying at your natural breathing pattern for a few moments. And then whenever you're ready, taking your time, open your eyes, coming back into your space. And take your time to open your eyes. The light might be jarring. And feel free to turn on your video again whenever you're ready.
I've unmuted everyone as well.
Awesome. Yeah. So the one question I have for everyone is, was there a change when you went to your comfortable maximum and came back to your natural breath? Was there a change? Did you notice a difference?
Yes. I did.
Yes.
I can feel the the stress in my neck, and just regulating that breath just emphasized that hold.
Right. Anybody else?
Yeah,
I
my
fell
shoulders
asleep.
felt better.
Felt better?
Yeah, more relaxed.
Yeah. And how does your breath feel right now?
Good now.
You have some help.
It's been a rough day.
Right, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, pretty calm.
Any other questions or shares?
Why is it always so much easier to meditate when someone is leading it or guiding it? When I hit the blocks on my own, I mean, it is a struggle.
Yeah.
Right. You know, it's really helpful to have a teacher who works with you one-on-one for a period of time, who observes your practice and who designs a practice for you. You can do any app out there and you can struggle with any app, and then, you know, your friend will be like, this one works for me. And then another friend will be like, well, this app works for me. But at the end of the day, what happens when you work one-on-one with a yoga therapist is they design it for you, not for like a one solution for 1 million people. It's highly customized to the individual based on everything that's going on in their lives or their current patterns of breathing and
Let me
all of those things.
just a second.
Yeah.
Erin, can you mute everyone? Because I'm hearing background noise.
Yeah. All right, I'm going to mute everyone again, and Linda will have to come take you off mute personally. Hold on.
I'm sorry. I could hear scratching.
Okay, Linda, you're unmuted.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, Akshaya.
No worries.
Actually,
Okay.
Akshaya, thank you for saying that. That helps me understand a lot more about, because I really do, I hit my blocks a lot meditating for other people, thinking about who I'm coaching, clients, things like that. But the minute I try to do it for myself, I struggle. So thank you for saying, oh, I'm like, yeah, thank you guys for your help.
No worries. I appreciate that share.
If
Anyone else?
anybody needs me
If
to
you have
take
a
it off
question,
mute,
and we can unmute you. It was just
yeah.
anybody. Anyone?
How did you get started doing this, Akshaya?
I see you, George.
I went to my first yoga class when I was 18. And I practiced. I grew up in Dubai. I'm from India, but I grew up in Dubai, and my mom took me to a yoga class when I was 18, just before I went away to university. And I came to Maryland for university. And I started with a form of yoga called Iyengar yoga, which is very supportive, slow form of yoga. And I found when I was in university, I started doing yoga videos, the Rodney Yee yoga videos, and I found them really helpful. So then I was like on and off on videos. And then when I moved to Toronto, I started practicing at studios. And sometime in 2008, it just, I didn't have like a long thought process around it. I was just like, I think I'm going to do a yoga teacher training. And it kind of really deepened my interest and understanding of it. And, I used to be in the film and television business before this. And I always felt this calling to teach. But I, I knew for sure I did not want to teach film. I was just like, I don't want to spend all day talking about movies. I want to teach, but I'm not sure what I want to teach. So when I ended up doing my um, yoga teacher training, it just felt like, okay, this is the way to go. Yeah.
So George had a question.
Yeah, George.
Actually, I had an observation.
Yes, please.
So I love macro photography. I'm usually close up to a flower, trying to hold the camera real steady. And when I do that, I notice that I can feel myself moving with my heartbeat.
Yeah.
So when we did this breathing exercise, when we lengthen our breaths, I started feeling my heartbeat again, just internally.
Right.
And then as we came back out to our normal breathing, I'm now aware of my heartbeat, whereas before I was stressed from the day, I wasn't being aware. And so my connection was, oh, I just did a relaxing, breathing, easy technique. And the other place that I see it is in something that I love to do, which is photography, where I can quiet down,
Right.
calm. Everything seems to disappear when I'm in my photographic moment. I don't realize if it's hot or cold, if I'm hungry, thirsty.
Right.
I'm just kind of in that moment. So I just now made that connection. I'm like, oh, I can feel my heartbeat when I'm focused and calm, and when I'm breathing and calm. So
that is such an amazing observation. I'm so, so, so happy you shared that, because you have pretty much described a state of meditation, a state of yoga. So, yoga isn't something that you do, it's more of a state that you move to through different practices. And when you're in a deep meditative state, that's exactly what happens. Everything kind of disappears. And you can simulate these states. A lot of artists, photographers, creative professionals, even people who are professional athletes and stuff, they always talk about this idea of when they are in the zone. I see Jema nodding her head, marathon runner there. When you are in the zone, everything else disappears. And then you are so deeply connected to yourself, and you're able to make decisions not from all the movement that's happening up here, but from what your intuition is telling you is going to be the right thing for you to do. So that's why yoga and meditation, it's so important to have these practices on a regular basis so you can maintain that connection and keep it strong, because at the end of the day, it's going to serve you. So I'm really happy you made that comment. Thank you. And I'm glad you had that experience. Usually I charge extra for that.
thank you.
Anyone else? Just raise your hand so we can unmute you. Come on. She's welcoming questions.
Yeah. No question is a wrong question. Oh yeah, Aaron, is that Aaron who's raising?
Oh, sorry, I was just
Alexa,
moving.
sorry, Alexa. Let me unmute you, Alexa. There you go.
I just wanted to ask, how can you prolong this? Because I've been practicing. I'm doing a lot of breathing and mind breathing. Actually, it's heart breathing coherence.
Mm-hmm.
And meditating. But how can you prolong it and make it last longer? Because you have those moments where you're in the present and you're there, and everything is centered and no thoughts, and you're enjoying everything. Everything is beautiful, shines, looks better. But then your thoughts take over and it goes away.
Yeah. So the thing about meditation is, this is an amazing question. The thing about meditation is, the more you practice, the more you strengthen those muscles, right? Like even if you were to sit down for 5 minutes every day, chances are by the end of 30 days, you would be able to sit for maybe 10 or 15 minutes. And the goal isn't to always be in this state of bliss, or, you know, it's like an moment, but to know that in every moment that you don't have to react. And we all do. Like I've been practicing for years and I have my moments, you know, where I just need to blow off steam, and those are healthy moments too. But when it becomes a problem, that's when you have to stop and reassess. And what happens as you keep practicing, the stopping and the reassessing happens faster, and you're able to choose a different response very quickly. So stick with it. Again, having a custom, you know, not custom, I don't like that word, but a tailored meditation, as opposed to a one size fits all, you might notice a different experience and an ability to stay in it, or just have more insight into your own process, depending on the meditation. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, I don't know. Aaron, can you unmute A. Patel?
I think I already did.
Here, I'll do it.
Nope,
Okay, there we go. Hi.
Can you introduce yourself?
Hey.
I'm Linda. I'm sorry, I didn't.
Hi.
Hi.
I'm Arpita. I've worked with Akshaya and taken a few lessons from her in the past, and I think one of the things that I've always struggled with has been poor sleep, and kind of using Akshaya's kind of helped me with some tips in that manner. Just wanted to kind of see what other tips and recommendations you had, just to kind of use yoga and meditation to improve sleep quality.
Right. Yeah. So I'm going to mute you. Okay, there we go. Yoga for sleep, right? So I'm going to make a broad general statement. So even the practice that we just did right now, even though it was a breathing practice, it had an element of meditation. And we didn't move our bodies, but we did yoga, right? So if you're able to, before going to bed, have a breathing practice, or you can even incorporate breathing with a little bit of gentle movement. And it doesn't have to be a lot. Like I have a little sequence of movements that I do before I jump into bed. And I always notice that I sleep so much better when I do those. It's 2 movements that I do. I do a standing forward fold and I do a little bit of side bending. And what I'm actually doing is I'm trying to lengthen my spine out from the day of sitting and standing, because what happens is, even though I do my practice in the morning, you give your spine some length. What happens is the spine keeps getting compressed as the day goes on. And then when you go to bed, sometimes even that compression can create a lot of discomfort in the body. So if you're able to bring a little bit of length into the spine, and if you're able to bring a little bit of space into the breath, it automatically is going to have this calming effect on the mind. And there are certain breathing exercises and movements that we do in yoga to specifically calm the system down. So you might, you know, if you work with somebody, they might give you a practice in the morning to energize you, and they might give you a really short practice at night to help you just hit the pillow and pass out. And not just fall asleep, but over time stay asleep and stop waking up in the middle of the night with all those crazy thoughts that happen at 2 a.m. I know you know what I'm
Like you
talking
read my
about.
mind.
Yeah, exactly. We've all been there multiple times. Oh, sorry. Linda, do I need to unmute you? Where are you?
I said something amazing and y'all missed it.
Oh no.
All right. So I was just going to say, if you have a question, just raise your hand and we'll unmute you. So that, is that you, Elaine? Or is that just movement? Anybody? Do this. Do this. Anybody?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. I think
Elaine. Yeah, I'll meet you. Hi, Elaine.
Hi. I mean, I've done some yoga in the past, and it just I realized over time I've been diagnosed with this autoimmune thing that creates anxiety, and I suffer with mild anxiety and depression, and I didn't realize that, and I started doing yoga, and it really helped me.
Right.
But I do find, like, just doing this little meditation, my mind was wandering all over the place. I was having a hard time just absorbing what you were saying, because I was just all over the place. So basically what you're saying is the more you do it, the easier it'll be to stay focused.
Exactly. And there are different, maybe moving right into being still and breathing and having me guide you through this process of breathing and meditating might not be ideal for you. You might need a little movement, because some of the ways that I work with people who are brand new, like I get a lot of brand new, never had any experience with yoga people. And how I work with them is always a little bit of movement. And then the mind has to focus on what the body is doing. And then I link the breath to the movement. Then the mind is focusing on coordinating the movement with the breath. So it's like we work on building that focus step by step.
Well, and I also wonder, because one of the things I know about myself is that I am a completely visual person, which may explain why I'm in photography.
Yeah.
I am not an audio person.
Yeah.
So if you give me, like, if I am working and somebody gives me instructions and they're not written down, or if I don't write them down and they're not written down, I won't remember them.
Right.
They don't sink in.
Right. So I guess if you were in a class where you could watch the teacher move, it would...
I have to mimic the teacher.
Right. Yeah.
And I have to constantly look and see what they're doing.
Yeah. That makes sense. So especially in the beginning, very, very helpful to watch a teacher and mimic, as you said, their movements. But you do want to get to a place where you can just listen and follow the instruction. And that will come in time. I just have to guarantee you, because I worked with people from the state that you described to a more coordinated, like I can just say, now inhale, lift your arms up, and exhale, bring your leg in. Like, doing two completely different movements, and they're able to do it. And sometimes it doesn't take very long at all. As long as you're able to connect with this place, like, so if you were able to do a practice even 2-3 times a week, you'll notice your skill of listening developing pretty quickly.
Okay, that's good to know.
And you can take that into other areas of your life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would hope, because
yeah. it doesn't, the yoga doesn't stay on the mat. It follows you right into life.
Okay. We have time for one more question.
Yeah.
Anybody? All right. Akshaya, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you all so much.
This is just a little sample of what you do and what you can do. So guys, if you found the link through me or through my Instagram, you can get to her if you didn't take a screenshot. Erin, do you want to throw that up on the screen one more time? Akshaya's info. If you want to screenshot, do it.
Do you want me to do that? I think
Yeah,
it was
I
on
think
my.
it would be better if
Sorry,
you did it better.
I'm
Yeah.
so sorry. I forgot.
No worries.
So reach out to her. I know that she does one-on-one stuff, and she also, for the ladies, sorry George, she has a Facebook.
Denny's there too.
group.
Don't forget Denny.
Oh, and no, Denny's a woman.
Oh, sorry.
Not helpful. So okay, so you can take that down. But reach out to her, to Akshaya, and if you have questions, reach out to her. And I know that you're not necessarily in Austin, but she does online stuff, so take advantage of that. Okay, so we're going to wrap up tonight's meeting, and I'm going to use just a few minutes and say thank you guys for jumping in and being a part of this little idea. And so we've had now 4 presentations. We had one. Oh, there's a chat. Okay, so
Is it shy?
That's me.
yeah. So we've had Jama, who did one on lighting and photography. We had Karen that did some homeschool tips, and Erin did hers on some powerful questions in photography. So now you've seen Akshaya. We've got, I've got 3 or 4 more lined up. My question to you is there something that you're interested in that you'd want to learn about? Or if you know of a speaker that you'd like me to consider, please private message me, and we will, I just laughed at Sherry's message here. Just private message me if you have some ideas or suggestions, because I'd like to do a few more of these, and hopefully, they would be topics that you're interested in. So that being said, am I forgetting something, Erin?
Nope, but I'm going to stop recording now.
Okay, yeah, that'd be great.
I
All
do
right.
have a question.